Most antinatalists are arguably non-believers, but religious people actually have more reasons to be antinatalists than non-believers do, especially if they seriously believe some of their religious teachings. For those who don't know, antinatalism is the idea that we shouldn't have children. Secular people become antinatalists for a variety of reasons. For example, they may refuse to have children because they cannot guarantee them a good life. Others may suffer from genetic health conditions and don't want to burden their children with that kind of suffering. Some don't want to have children because they cannot ask the consent of their children to be born, and they don't want to impose life with all of its struggles and challenges on them. But religious people are different. Many believers are actually not just natalists, but fervent pronatalists. They want to have many children, often because their religious teachings or scriptures command them to do so. In the book of Genesis in the Bible, for example, it says to be fruitful and multiply. And having children seems to be encouraged in Islamic culture as well, despite it not being a specific command in the Quran. Religious people face the same problems as non-believers do when it comes to having children. They cannot guarantee them a good life, they can't ask for their consent to be born, they can pass on bad genetic traits, and so on. But in addition to this, many religious people have another significant problem, the idea of an afterlife. More specifically, a place of unimaginable torture called hell. I will address mainly Christianity in this video, as I am not well versed in other religions, but basically in Christianity there are several different doctrines when it comes to hell and who will end up there. The traditional view regarding hell is that of eternal conscious torment. But there are other views such as annihilation and universalism. The annihilation theory posits that torment in hell is temporary, after which the people there are destroyed, basically they cease to exist. Universalists believe that everyone eventually goes to heaven, although there will be some punishment for sins in hell. So most Christians believe people in hell are conscious and that they are tortured eternally. That's possibly the worst fate imaginable. But who goes to hell? There are several different views regarding this. When I became a Christian, I believed in the doctrine of eternal security, or once saved, always saved. So you just had to believe in the gospel once, and then you were on your way to heaven. There are many scriptures that can be used to support this position, but there are also scriptures that can be used to support other positions, like conditional security. Many Christians believe you have to endure to the end of your life in the faith, meaning if you fall away into unbelief, then you will also lose your salvation and you'll face an even worse punishment in hell because you had knowledge of the truth. Some people believe you can commit what's called the unforgivable sin and lose your salvation with no hope of redemption. In the Catholic faith, you can end up in hell if you commit a mortal sin and fail to confess it to a priest before dying. Some Protestants also think you have to confess your sins to God, and if you die in unrepentant sin, then you will go to hell. Basically, with Christianity, if you actually believe in the Bible, you not only have the problems of the world to worry about, but you are also exposing your children to spiritual risks with the highest possible stakes on the table. Depending on which teachings a believer subscribes to, there is a very real chance their children could go to hell. For example, they could easily not ever truly believe in the gospel or fall away from the faith later in life. They could also die in unrepentant sin or commit the unforgivable sin. So the more requirements there are for salvation, or the more chances there are that you can lose it, the higher the risk becomes. Basically, there is no way to truly guarantee their spiritual safety. If religious people truly believe in their holy scriptures, they are playing Russian roulette with their children's lives. You know that these same parents wouldn't send their children to a kindergarten with a 50% mortality rate, yet they play an even more serious game with their children's eternal souls by bringing them into this world. There's really no selfless reason to have children, not even for a non-believer, and the risks are a lot higher for a bad outcome if any religious teachings of hell prove to be true. But you can't go to hell if you don't exist, so the safest option is to not play this game of life with someone else's soul. There was indeed a Christian Gnostic sect called the Cathars who practiced antinatalism, but they were heavily persecuted by the Catholic Church and no longer exist as a group. I do think Christians who seriously believe the Bible and have some empathy or morals should adopt antinatalism. There is no commandment from Jesus in the New Testament to have children, and Jesus did not marry or have children himself. Even one of the founders of Christianity, Apostle Paul, says he would rather that Christians be like him, who was also unmarried and did not have children. Remember to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts on antinatalism? Let us know in the comments, and see you in the next video. Okay, thanks, bye.